Blackwater Castle, the haunted fortress of Cork, a true Irish horror story. The Irish countryside is home to countless castles that have witnessed centuries of war, betrayal, tragedy, and death. Yet among these ancient fortresses, one castle continues to captivate historians, paranormal investigators, and ghost hunters alike. Hidden along the peaceful banks of the River Blackwater in County Cork stands Blackwater Castle, a magnificent medieval stronghold whose beautiful exterior conceals centuries of darkness. Visitors often arrive expecting to admire its rich history and stunning architecture, but many leave speaking of strange footsteps echoing through empty corridors, mysterious shadows moving across stone walls, and an unsettling feeling that someone unseen has been watching them from the very beginning. Whether these stories are the result of imagination or something far more terrifying remains one of Ireland's enduring mysteries. Blackwater Castle's history stretches back to the medieval period, when powerful Norman families established fortifications across Ireland to secure their territories. Positioned beside the River Blackwater, one of Southern Ireland's most important waterways, the castle occupied a strategically valuable location. From its towers, guards could monitor approaching travelers, merchants, and invading forces long before they reached the surrounding settlements. During these turbulent centuries, castles were not simply elegant homes for noble families, they were military fortresses built for survival. Thick stone walls, narrow defensive windows, heavy wooden gates, and fortified towers were designed to withstand prolonged sieges. Every stone placed within Blackwater Castle served a purpose, preparing its inhabitants for a life where peace could disappear overnight. Throughout Ireland's long and violent history, the region surrounding Blackwater Castle witnessed repeated conflicts between rival clans, Anglo-Norman lords, English forces, and Irish chieftains struggling for control of the land. Every new conflict brought uncertainty. Armies marched across the countryside, villages were burned, crops were destroyed, and castles became both symbols of power and primary military targets. Families living within Blackwater Castle endured years of fear, never knowing when another siege might begin. Soldiers stood watch through freezing nights while lookouts scanned the horizon for smoke rising from distant settlements. Every approaching rider could bring welcome news, or the beginning of another bloody battle. Historical records show that many Irish castles experienced repeated periods of destruction and reconstruction, and Blackwater Castle was no exception. Ownership changed over the centuries as political alliances shifted and wars reshaped Ireland's landscape. With every new ruler came fresh renovations, stronger defenses, and new stories whispered among servants and local villagers. Yet beneath every repaired wall remained the foundations built by earlier generations, foundations that had already witnessed countless deaths, betrayals, and desperate struggles for survival. Local folklore suggests that while people changed, the castle itself never forgot those who suffered within its walls. Life inside a medieval castle was far harsher than many imagine today. Beneath the impressive halls and noble chambers were dark storage rooms, narrow passages, and prison cells where captured enemies or political prisoners could spend weeks or even months awaiting their fate. These underground chambers were cold, damp, and almost completely deprived of sunlight. Prisoners often survived on minimal food and water while uncertainty slowly consumed them. Some hoped their families would pay a ransom. Others knew execution was inevitable. The silence inside these stone cells was broken only by dripping water, distant footsteps overhead, and the heavy sound of iron doors opening when another unfortunate captive arrived. Over generations, servants working within the castle began sharing unsettling stories about these lower chambers. They claimed that certain rooms always felt unnaturally cold regardless of the season. Candles reportedly flickered without warning despite the absence of wind, while strange echoes seemed to answer footsteps that belonged to no living person. Even workers who dismissed ghost stories admitted that some parts of the castle carried an overwhelming feeling of sadness that was difficult to explain. Many avoided entering the underground rooms alone after sunset, believing that the suffering endured there had somehow become permanently embedded within the ancient stone walls. Among the castle's oldest legends is the mysterious tale of a silent woman dressed entirely in white. According to local tradition, she appears without warning along upper corridors, near staircases, or standing motionless beside windows overlooking the castle grounds. Witnesses consistently describe her as calm rather than frightening. She never screams, never speaks, and never acknowledges anyone who sees her. Instead, she gazes into the distance as though waiting for someone who never returned. Those brave enough to approach claim that she slowly fades away before they can reach her, disappearing without a sound and leaving only an empty hallway behind. No one knows the true identity of the White Lady. Some believe she was the wife of a nobleman who died while waiting for her husband to return from war. Others suggest she lost her children during one of Ireland's many conflicts and continues searching the castle where she spent her final days. Another legend claims she was betrayed by someone she trusted and imprisoned within the castle until illness claimed her life. Although historians have found no definitive evidence confirming any single story, the legend has survived for generations, passed from one storyteller to another until it became inseparable from the castle itself. The castle is also associated with reports of phantom footsteps. Guests staying overnight have occasionally described hearing slow, deliberate footsteps crossing wooden floors above them long after everyone else had gone to bed. Curious visitors who investigated often discovered completely empty hallways. The sounds would suddenly stop, only to begin again moments later somewhere else inside the building. Staff members familiar with these stories often smile politely when questioned, explaining that old castles naturally produce unusual noises. Yet some privately admit that not every sound can be explained by settling timber or shifting stone. Several visitors have reported seeing dark human-shaped shadows moving through corridors just beyond the edge of their vision. These figures rarely remain visible for more than a second before disappearing around corners or through solid walls. Paranormal investigators suggest that such experiences may be examples of shadow figures, while skeptics argue they result from poor lighting, expectation, and the castle's complex interior architecture. Regardless of the explanation, these reports continue to emerge from individuals who had no knowledge of the castle's haunted reputation before arriving. Another recurring experience involves unexplained sensations rather than visible apparitions. Visitors have described suddenly feeling as though someone is standing immediately behind them, only to turn and find no one there. Others report a dramatic drop in temperature while walking through specific rooms, despite the rest of the castle remaining comfortably warm. Some have even spoken of an overwhelming feeling that they were being silently observed throughout their visit. While such sensations cannot be scientifically verified as paranormal, they have become one of the most frequently reported experiences associated with Blackwater Castle. Modern paranormal teams equipped with cameras, digital recorders, thermal imaging devices, and electromagnetic field meters have visited Blackwater Castle in hopes of documenting supernatural activity. Although no investigation has produced conclusive scientific proof of ghosts, researchers have occasionally reported unexplained audio recordings, unusual equipment readings, and mysterious sounds that could not be immediately identified. Skeptics argue these findings have ordinary explanations, while believers view them as further evidence that the castle still holds secrets hidden beyond human understanding. Today, Blackwater Castle remains one of County Cork's most fascinating historic landmarks, admired for its remarkable architecture, beautiful riverside setting, and centuries of Irish history. Visitors from around the world come to experience its medieval atmosphere, learn about its past, and decide for themselves whether the ghost stories contain a grain of truth. Some leave with nothing more than photographs and pleasant memories. Others leave convinced they encountered something they cannot explain. The castle offers no answers, only questions that have echoed through its halls for generations. Perhaps the greatest mystery surrounding Blackwater Castle is not whether ghosts truly exist within its walls, but why so many people from different backgrounds, separated by decades, continue describing remarkably similar experiences. Are these stories the natural result of expectation inside an ancient fortress shaped by centuries of conflict? Or do the walls still preserve echoes of those who once lived, fought, suffered, and died there? History cannot answer that question, and neither can science, at least not yet. So, if you ever find yourself standing before Blackwater Castle as evening mist drifts across the River Blackwater and darkness slowly surrounds its ancient towers, pause for just a moment before stepping inside. Listen carefully to the silence. If you hear footsteps behind you, resist the urge to look back too quickly. Because according to local legend, not every visitor who walks through Blackwater Castle's halls is among the living, and some of its oldest residents have been waiting centuries for someone to notice they were never truly alone.